I was led to Nanilea by my coach, Michelle Villalobos. I attended her boot camp and her latest retreat, Full Glory Expression. And I was so blown away by her insights and wow, her presence that she holds, her connection to the divine, her spiritual guidance and wisdom on feminine leadership blew me away. And I decided I absolutely have to invite her to this retreat. To this summit. So just a little information, background for Nanilea. She is an energy queen. She's a force of nature in the lives of women rising into their full glory. She's an expert at assessing, accessing, and updating the energy dynamics that shape every outcome. She helps make changes at the deepest levels that impact the patterns that govern our lives and destiny. Welcome, Dr. Nanilea Diamond.
Yay! Yay! Am I there?
Okay. Yeah, you're on. Hello. So happy to see you.
Thank you. So good to be here with you, Julie. Hi.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So Nanilea, I want to start with this question with you. What's something that absolutely lights you up that not everyone knows about you?
Let's see. Gosh, I feel like I share so much of myself. Not know is a good question. Right now I'm really being lit up by being a mom. I may talk about that sometimes, but having my son, my 6-year-old little Wolfie, and just being with him, just watching his magic unfold, and having just the opportunity to be a guide in his life and watch his kind of seed unfold, and to see I really get to see creation coming to life through him. And so right now, currently, that's what I'm being so lit up by. He just started school, and it's just an explosion of just joy for him. And
it's so beautiful. Oh, I love it. And I love his name, Wolfie. How did you choose the name Wolfie?
Oh God, that's a whole story. It was actually my husband who chose that name, and it came to him. And it was not the name that I had an idea of. And so I had some really just interesting kind of divine intervention moments. Actually, I went to a massage therapist when I was pregnant, and I thought I was just going to get a circulatory massage. And she goes, actually I read energy, and the baby here is telling me that whatever name you have is not your name. It's actually this name that your husband knows. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay, can't mess with that, Wow. And there was a beautiful story there too of my husband really giving his son the name. And that woke me up to like a rite of passage with the masculine, where it was a really big deal for him to name his son. And once I saw that that's what it was about, I was like, hail masculine, like, yes, I'm here to support that. And I really got the wisdom of also stepping back and seeing the father son come forward. And so that's a big part of the energy behind his name, is that it was also a bow for me to the masculine energy, and that he got named and kind of held in that. Yeah.
I can imagine the soul that he is coming from you and your husband. He's going to impact the world.
Yeah.
So really, wow.
And they're here to be our biggest teachers. So yeah, he's here to kick our butt, basically.
Yeah. He's here to teach you, right? That's so beautiful. How is feminine leadership redefining abundance in your opinion?
Another huge question. I've been deepening with this over decades of working with people and looking at the patterns and the energy patterns existing underneath. And what I've found is that, and when we talk about abundance, something that's important for me to clarify is that I'm seeing that we've been trained more and more as a society to think money when we hear the word abundance. And I see that being a way to condition us and have us associate money as the relational to like the fecundity of life, like the true abundance, the true life-giving wellspring of where we draw our energy for creation from, and what gives us power and gives us access and gives us avenues of creativity, being absolutely just instantly directionally related to money. So I like to back up from that energetic and just really plant the word abundance in the reality and the truth that I see it as a paradigm, that and that what I see about that is, it's not that there's anything bad or wrong with money. Money is absolutely a part of abundance and an absolutely critical a part of it, and to just watch that conditioning that brings us into a consumer society, a mechanistic society, and a society based on materialism that disconnects from the true roots being in the abundance of the earth and the rhythms. And that's where I feel like feminine energy really begins, is our connection to the earth, to Mama Earth, to Mama Gaia. How we treat the earth is everything in relationship to, it shows us our relationship to the feminine. Wow. Do we rape her? Do we, care about her? Do we protect her? Do we have guidelines and regulations that take care of her? What are our standards? All of that. So as far as abundance, I feel like at the root level, it's going back to a paradigm shift of, are we rooted in creating everything? And, everything I teach, everything I do, there's one fundamental core energetic I come back to, which is the energy we create from guides and determines our creations. So with that, holding that as the center flame, I back up the abundance into really saying that we are rooting in a paradigm of abundance that first honors the energy of creation itself, to not instantaneously be put into the energy matrix of money and a mechanistic consumer society version, and then from that, because that's where I see the feminine and women truly be rooted in what will make them also and give them access to extraordinary financial abundance, is when they are unplugged from that consumerism kind of society that is, by the way, crumbling right now, and they are truly rooted and creating from this other place. They will have innovation like never before. They will have creativity, and they will also have a deep-seated permission to go beyond the limits that society creates. So it's kind of a big answer, but I had a lot in that.
And now I know why I chose you to go first. And that is so interesting, because I find people come to me wanting to make more money. And of course, money is beautiful, and money is a resource that we can absolutely use to welcome in more joy. But the way you explain that, because I'm always like, it's more than money. It's not just money, but that understanding of the abundance from the earth. And when we disconnect from consumerism and really tap into the divine, that's where all the gifts come from. And how backwards, like we've been living so backwards. So many of us are so focused on doing and, getting, compensation for my action and my energy. I deserve this. But that understanding that when we just relax and allow and are more in that feminine, it can be so much easier and so much more beautiful and so much more gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's a beautiful,
gorgeous explanation.
And that's what you bring to your clients, is that. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that, the fundamental, because if you follow all those behavioral things that women are experiencing, the overwork, the stress, the pushing, the masculine, all of that, the fundamental energy you come back to is that their roots need to be transplanted. I say, let's transplant your roots, back into the source of creation. And from there, you have the truth and the reality remembered through your being that life is abundant. It's not like you have to try to be, it just is. And you become an extension of that. And then you can get wildly creative with how you want to do that. Do you want to do that in financial wealth? Beautiful. I think it's really important that women do. I think bringing in financial wealth is a way for women to have, it's like an access point into their system to see how they are in, and I know you did the workshop with me, the 3-day of like, it relates to their sexuality, it relates to their power, it relates to how they are with masculine energy. And so a woman, you know, starting to grow financially, she's going to meet all these other parts of herself. And it's a, you know, I call it like an underground root system energetically in her being, that will start to uproot and have opportunity for change and reorganization. So,
what are some of the biggest challenges with women in the area of abundance?
let's see. I would say, I mean, just it goes back to that underground root system, that it is related to so many things. I think that for women in particular, I mean, if we look at just where we are in our society, in our timeline, it hasn't been, I mean, 1960 was when a woman was allowed to open her own bank account without needing a signature from a man. You know, 1974 was when she was allowed to have her own credit card. You know, it's like, and then she's allowed to have her own house. So it's new in our system. And previous to that, we were owned. We were owned, you know, by a man. And so that's, I mean, we're talking only a few decades. So it's very recent. And these things have been subconsciously put into the programming of our being and our body. And we will meet those limiting, they're not even beliefs because they're below beliefs. They move into the realm of just pure raw energy patterns of subconscious archetypal programming that goes on. And also there's, Molly says, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's wild to look into and see and how recent it is. And so a woman also, a woman's sexuality in our old, I call it old paradigm society, because I know we're moving out of it now, where it's falling down, you know, it's gripping for control, it's its last breath, but it's falling down, is that a woman's creativity has also been just radically commoditized. You know, and creative energy in general. I say men also, but for a woman, like her sexuality is, you know, it's just prostituted everywhere. It's a marketing. It's you know, one of the hottest marketing things is a woman's sexuality. It's used, you know, we see advertisements that has a woman, you know, showing her sexuality, and it's for absolutely nothing to do with that. You know, it's like a car or something else. And so that actually has, what I've seen in the women I work with is that there's kind of this like push-pull going on in their system with creating, period, and especially financial wealth and abundance, because they don't want to be commoditized. They don't want to, you know, bring it into a realm of sales and money. Like they want to make their own creative energy precious again. And once it goes into the marketplace, now we hit this energy of like, wow, we hit the collective energy of the feminine being commoditized, prostituted, all those things. And so it takes an incredible amount of clearing that from our system and coming into sovereignty with our own sexual creative energy and choosing to do it and building around it, you know, boundaries and standards and ways of it expressing that hold it sacredly. So there's a lot in that. And you asked me one question, I've got like a whole thing, because there's just so much in this topic.
And how can a woman use her sexual energy in a healthy way to harness her creativity?
I mean, first of all, using her sexual energy is, you see how easy it is.
It's that word choice. Like I want to like manipulate this or control it in some way to get what I want.
We're so, yeah, it's users. Even, you know, I work a lot in peak performance and working with like, you know, high level athletes or entrepreneurs or think tanks and that sort of thing. And they even like there's seen as flow state is something, well, we're going to use flow state to go and produce more, you know, and that there's this whole thing of just using it to get more outcome, to get more output, which is the yang, which is the masculine. So it's this undoing. And And what I see in, you know, in the work I do with women is really them coming into their sexuality, their creativity as their own. You know, even their sexuality, women have a sometimes a lot of time program, like my sexuality only exists with a man. No, it exists on your own. Your creativity exists on your own. And to undo all of that programming in her system, to have it called out, to have it confronted, and to begin to grow for a woman eyes that can see it. Because if you can't see it, if you're blind to it, you're going to put on that energy and wear it out and not even know it, you know? And it's like, well, you got that dress on, you didn't even know it. You know, if you have eyes to see it, then you come into a place of having greater choice. And moving back into the energy of just sovereignty with your own energy and saying, it's my joy to create powerfully. It's my joy to, you know, shake things up and build this thing and do this thing, you know. And if it's not, if I feel myself going into a place of have to, or it's like coming into right relationship. And women are so powerful. I mean, we all know this. It's just there's all of this stuff on top of our creative energy and all these invisible regulations going on and limitations. So,
Wow.
Megan.
Megan said I needed this today. Yeah, this is incredible. My sister speaks for me. Something that really stood out to me in what you just said is about women attach sexual energy to a man, and that word intimacy really spoke to me when at your retreat we were talking about intimacy doesn't have to be with another person, it's intimacy with self. Can you talk a little bit more about how do we become more intimate with ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, intimacy, I say like into me see, you know, into me see. And a lot of it is, you know thyself, know thyself. For women, it's knowing what is feminine energy, what is your heart, what are your desires, and to unplug from the matrix. A lot of it's unplugging and undoing. You know, when I have retreats and we have women come in, a lot of it is like, all right, we're gonna have to like pull the weeds off to even get to what is the flower underneath, you know. And it's another way of remembering 1960. Remember, we had got societal permission to have our own, you know, bank account without a man's signature. Like there's still that programming of, and it's the same thing for sexuality. It wasn't till I don't have the exact date, but recently, where intermarital rape was considered illegal, like or inside the marriage. You know, a woman's sexuality was owned by a man. She didn't have choice. And so there's still that undoing of sexuality man. Who's the man that owns it? Who's the man that, and that shows up, I think, currently in the modern woman, where she's waiting for a man to bring it out in her. Well, I need a man so that I can feel this way. And it's like, no, yes, it's wildly enhanced by being with a man. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? I love that. And that sexual raw freedom, it exists in you. And then you share it with a man. You don't show up with a need. You show up with an overflowing, and this is abundance. You show up with an abundance of that energy running through your system. And it's like, let's share this, you know, let's be in this. Let's see where we go together in this.
Wow. And can you speak a little bit about using symbols to enhance the different energies? So we talked a little bit about this at your retreat as well, of finding that symbol that speaks to you and how you can use that to, you know, enhance your own power for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, symbols, the reason why I use symbols, and I'm just starting to work with them more and more, is the feminine intelligence works in metaphor and symbology. A lot of how we translate life is through metaphor and symbology. There's more association with like right side of the brain of moving things into a different way of translation. And I also, beyond that, is that the work that I do and why I feel like I'm here on the planet, part of it is to help women unlock forgotten codes and live them, to open into realms of their being that have been latent, that have been unlived, and literally the codes in their DNA have not been transcribing, like they've not been living frequencies. And part of that, and it's literal, if we look at epigenetics, that we code for what our environment signals for. And we also have in our genetics the ability to put things called chemical caps onto our genetic coding that basically say, it's a cap. It says, don't code for this. Don't be this vibration. Don't be this expression. Don't do it in a very limited range. Why? Because our predecessors and generations before got killed for it, or got banished for it, or it was dangerous for them, or it made life hard for them, or there was massive trauma somewhere in the family line for this reason, you know. And so it puts a chemical cap evolutionarily. It's an evolutionary survival tactic of our nervous system to say, don't do this, it was dangerous. And so especially for women, and this even goes back to what I believe, it goes back to the witch hunts, and that women have access, deep access to magic and to the priestess. That's why I'm in the study of priestesshood, of, you know, really accessing the magic that a woman has to see and translate life in ways that are incredible. Like we have just the way our nervous system's wired. And part of it, like and this is where I get into, you know, there's feminine and masculine energy, and then there's male and female operating system, our body and our nervous system. The masculine operating system has evolutionarily over generations and generations been designed around more masculine energy. The feminine has been designed evolutionarily as an operating system around feminine energy, which means there's interconnection. We've been, you know, evolutionarily designed and created, or not, it's creation and it's nurture and nature both. You know, we've over time adapted and sharpened our skills of being the ones who care for the tribe. You know, and so we can our sense, our olfactory system in our bodies much more heightened than a man's, because we can smell a range in the immune system vibrationally to know when a child is sick before they're sick. You know, we have all of these abilities in our nervous system to recognize energy patterns holographically in the tribe, to see interconnections and to translate metaphorically and symbolically, and know things about how to lead life and move life forward. And that has been a lot of it. I believe there's caps on many parts of those, because for a woman to come into her full power has been seen as dangerous for many reasons. And so I forget even what we're talking about as the question.
This is fascinating. These are the questions I've been having in my own mind for a while. And so something that just came to me was, so I do identify with being a witch in a past life and being killed many times for it. But I feel like that is just the translation of me realizing my power in this lifetime, and no, I will not be silenced, and I will speak out even if it's not safe to be powerful. But what I'm wondering is the term witch just labeled to kind of shame a woman for being powerful? And maybe are we all witches essentially because we have this power?
I mean, I think witch is one word to describe it. I see it as entire libraries, like a whole library of codes. You know, witch is more the identity or the name that someone would call themselves. I go, for me, like, this is where I say this is my expertise, my specialization, is I go to the energy patterns and the codes and everything that's existing in and before the expression. Like the witch is kind of the end result, you know, and what society might call her, or what she might call herself, but it's the library of codes that she's accessing and she's drawing from, like the energy we create from guides and determines our creation. So you can call yourself a witch, but what's the expansion? What are you accessing? You know, and what library of codes? And what I've seen to be true is that there are many different lineages of mystical arts, of mystical medicines, of mystical cultures that have been broken and fragmented. And much of it was in those witch raids and witch burnings. It was not safe to do anything connected to the earth. And we're going there again. We're in that now, where it's not, there's one, we've switched from like, a religious thing to more medical, but it's like, we're in a thing where it's like, wow, are we in the earth? Are we in, and I truly believe we're at this global initiation, because all of us are here on the planet to fully live these codes again. And so that's kind of known. So now there's this let's put those back down, and it's like no, like you said, you came into this lifetime with this sense and this feeling of like, I'm gonna live it. You know what I mean? Like, ain't going down like that. Like, ain't going down like that this time, like this is a new day. And that's what with women, it's, and that's what I've created in the Feminine Blueprint it is a path and a activation with teachings and trainings. And I will catalyze a woman's codes. I will frequency wise just bring her forward, and see into her. And that's been my entire training, and I believe that this is why, looking back, I was trained, as a doctor, to know the nervous system, to know all the way down, to have studied cadavers and biology and, quantum physics and all that down to the nitty gritty. And then go from there to studying mystical feminine arts and priestesshood and priestess training. Because when I look at a woman, I see through that lens, and I see all the way down to the cellular level what's happening through the archetypal lens of different priestess lineages of there, and just call it forward. And we live in that, we know the epigenetics, that when it's called forward, but a woman has to step in, those chemical caps are intense, and they create blind spots. And so first of all, it's for a woman to have eyes that see them, and then to really choose in, and this is why I create a sisterhood around each woman, is because when she's surrounded by a powerful group of women that say, I got you, sister, I see you walking this walk, like, and I have a saying that goes, what one woman does for herself, she does for all women, and so each woman steps forward and says, I'm going to pop these caps. And popping them themselves is not just a cognitive choice. Like, oftentimes, even for me, in all of my studies and workings of how to get into the energy of things, it's quite an art to get in there, because the nervous system is really good at putting those caps and making a detour around them, so that's a big part of it, is like, there's massive detours going on in the nervous system to keep you from going there, because there's that much energy around it, because there's that much power in it, because it's that much a part of your soul incarnation.
Wow. I'm just like, wow. I can't wait to watch this back and, go back through and really look at all of this in a deeper way, because there's just so much depth to what you share. And I just witnessed so much alignment and wisdom, and, from all your studies. Like, it is mind-blowing to me how deep you go, how well you articulate. Your wisdom is so, I feel myself becoming more wise by the second. but I do need to revisit. This is so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like my body is just buzzing with, the codes and the excitement, and, it feels so exciting to unlock and to think about what else is there, what else is underneath, and what else have I been suppressing? What have I been holding back for fear of not being safe, or fear of being too seen, or, going against my lineage? All of that speaks to me so deeply. But yeah, wow. Like, where are we in the questions? I don't even know. Like, I'm just like,
but here's
my mind is spinning. My mind is spinning.
And I'd love to speak to one thing that you said, because this is, I feel like every woman can relate to too, is that we all know it. We all know that there's more of us to access. We just are not like, how do we get there? It's like an itch that you want to scratch, and you just know. And to give women just some, just to share this piece, it might be really like an aha and kind of comforting, and also like provoking, is that society is not created and organized to draw that out of us. you know, and it's like trying to fit a star into a square. Like you're a star and you're trying to fit into a square cube, and women will go nuts like of why, and it's like, well, it's not by design. It's just not. So if you can really just get with that and know that you were meant to go outside of societal norms, that you are meant to, you know, break the mold, and to start to enjoy that, and to start to come into that wild nature that remembers that there's something more here to unlock. Society, just the way that it's been designed, is not designed for a woman's full glory. It's just not. And we're here to update the program. You know, we're here to update the program.
Why do you think society is not designed to allow women to be in her full power?
Why was it designed originally that way?
Yeah.
I mean, the energy it came from was a very patriotic energy that saw women in a very subservient way. You know, like I said, even 1970, allowed to get your own bank account. Like it was designed that women were owned by man. It was just designed from an old energy that was steeped in a religious view, most of it, that said that the man was the only voice in the house, the only power in the house. And it really, and I don't mean this to say like, oh, bad men, like this was actually to the detriment of men too, because men's full glory comes through being in sacred union. You know what I mean? The men aren't, it doesn't work for the men either to have that kind of a societal construct. They're not loving it either. You know what I mean? Like we all are together in a unified experience of this ain't working, time to update, you know? And for a man to experience the full radiance of a woman's full glory is, you know, that's for him, like, you know, like I know for my husband, it's like seeing me in that brings him to life. You know, he truly, honestly doesn't want to see me subservient. You know, it's like that isn't there. A lot of that for men still is unbundling, you know, to recognize that there isn't true fulfillment in control and domination. You know, that it's actually that stems from scarcity, and that they end up feeling unfulfilled and alone in that. And that's why we see so much suicide with men who are so successful and everything. And they're like, wait, I bought the program, I did the thing. Why am I not like, you know, in this ray of light right now? It's because it's not designed for that.
What guidance would you give to a woman who is on her own and wants to step into an equal partnership with someone that appreciates her full glory? How can she prepare for that? How can she really tap into her own power and wisdom first before entering into a sacred union?
Well, it's a little bit in there that I see. What I see sometimes is that women, and that there is some truth to this, that they back away from relationship and say, I'm going to work on myself until I'm totally ready, and then I'm going to go into relationship. And it's like, well, the way I see relationship really is that it is one of the biggest playgrounds for spiritual growth. I mean, you get to see all your stuff there. You get the fierce mirrors come out there. So it's a place to go to become that version also, is what I see. Like for myself, I didn't like hold back from relationship until I was, you know, completely whole in myself and then say I'm ready. I found wholeness through entering into a love and a commitment to love, and intimacy, that, because I mean, really the rawness of being in real intimate relationship is it will rip your ego apart. It'll show you, you know, and that's what I feel is part of its design. I think we have to undo the construct of what we think relationship and partnership and all those things are supposed to be, and that it's like, oh, this happily ever after where there's never anything that happens. And you know, like my husband and I are two of the fiercest mirrors to each other, you know, and we do our spiritual work of that together, you know, because and we commit to going the distance together. you know? So I think there is some of that of like coming into your full glory as a woman, and it's how we view relationship and what we view its purpose to be, you know, what we view its purpose to be, and going there to open, going there to grow, going there to love, going there to be imperfect, going there to be humble, you know, really all of those things, and going there to just be a messy human sometimes, you know, and to seek to love in our messiness.
So that whole guidance to, you know, you need to love yourself first, you need to be completely whole. It's kind of it's different for everybody, and also thinking about how you can grow within that connection, and like you said, being those fierce mirrors for each other. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like it's a yes and, you know, there is some of like unplugging and, you know, coming into your own and really getting to know yourself as a woman, and so that when you are in that mirror, you know who you are. But it's also an and, because I also see women stay out of it because they feel like, oh, I've got to wait until I'm, you know, perfect or something. And just want to make sure that we're highlighting that too, so that women can really look at it and give themselves permission to also, I think a lot of it's about being a messy human.
Yeah.
You know, and that's there's beauty in that, our humanity as well as our divinity, you know, it's all beautiful. And that we really are here to grow together, man and woman, masculine, you know, we're just, it's really how we're positioning it, and to see that if that is truly sourced from a place of some fairy tale idea about what relationship really is that we were fed, you know, and to reconstruct why we're really there in that. And a lot of the work I do is your agreement field, like your agreement with your own energy, your agreement with them, with why you're there. And a lot of women will go there with this energy of like, save me, here's all my power. Here, I'm damsel in distress. Here, you know, take care of me, provide for me, protect me, you know, and I'll give you these things. And it turns into this power play of shadow, you know, and then it becomes a shadow agreement between the two. And it's an agreement that, oh, we'll both hide in this energy together as long as you give me this and I give you that. And, you know, and then they don't confront each other to grow. And it becomes a violation of the previous agreement to say, hey, let's grow, you know? So to really look at that, okay, let me step back and construct, why am I here? Why am I here? You know, what energy am I creating this from? Again, we go back to it.
Wow. So we're going to open it up now for some Q&A from the live guests here. So if you have a question for Dr. Nanilea Diamond, please put it in the Q&A chat. I'm going to see, we have a question here. It says, what is the most common reason women have abundance blocks? Start with that.
Okay. So are we talking financial? Is that what? I think that would, you know, ask like what abundance,
Yep.
you know?
More specifically, whoever asked that question, the same person said, what would they look like? Wait, no, a new strategy. Wait, what would it look like?
Is it in the chat?
They're asking about how do you begin to heal and release an energetic block. Whoever asked that question, if you could be more specific, what area of abundance are you speaking to? And we'll go on to the next question. Can you speak more about what the feminine blueprint is?
Yes. So the feminine blueprint, it's, I mean, at this point, it's like a powerful vortex that is unfolding in the world into a bunch of teachings and trainings. And it's a, you know, it's approach, a method, it's a map really for a woman to come into her full glory, to come into her full power. And it's designed really to be, although it can be used in many different ways, to be a year cycle, a year long. Women and feminine, we work in cycles. Our intelligence is in cycles and rhythms. And within like one moon cycle, within 1 year cycle, there are many different frequency activations organically within one cycle for a woman. The new moon energy is different than the quarter new moon. That's different than the full moon. That's different than the waning moon. There's different energy frequency activations that happen naturally as we cycle. And women, we cycle, you know, our hormones are different at every point. Like there's so much that is encoded in each part of that cycle. So what I've been given, and I say that I've been given, like this came through me, really not from me, is that I'm being shown, and it was shown, how to bring a woman through one full cycle in 1 year of all of those frequency code activations that exist organically as universal patterns that unlock a woman's intelligence, that unlock those dormant codes. And I have it into, you know, different seasons. The winter new moon season, which is about receptivity, the full yin energy. Most women don't even really get what that is. Most society does not have that present at all. But the depths of what full receptivity and yin energy really is in its ancient future power. And then coming into, as that moon waxes and comes into quarter moon, it's about the embodiment. And then coming into expression. Embodiment is where we face the fire. Embodiment is about sovereignty and the queen and the energetic castle of your standards, your boundaries, your upper limits, constructing yourself as a woman as you come into form. Full moon is about coming into, then we meet queen energy there. And full moon is about coming into the full expression. Full moon is a time of, we're told, like lunacy, you know, Luna is the moon. Lunacy, going beyond, going wild. So that expression time of what's our bandwidth, what is dormant that hasn't been activated, what are we bringing into our full radiance, and so much more. I mean, there's teachings that are layered in it to bring a woman into her fullness. And then in the fall season, it's attraction. And that's moving more into yin energy as we go back into the dormancy of winter. So the yin energy building and the principles and practices and embodiments of magnetism, of yin building in the system, to where we're actually saying, come to me. Like one of the most beautiful ways I love to look at feminine energy and attraction is to look at the egg and the sperm. You know, the sperm hunts. The sperm's going out there to give it. Sperm is hustling. You know, the egg comes down that fallopian tube. You know, she's with her sisters hanging out up there, and it's like, oh, it's your turn, girl. One at a time, they come down like that catwalk. You know, and they shine in their radiance. And what they're saying energetically is like, come to me, come to me. You know, it's a magnetic pull at the center of life. There's this like magnetic pull of the feminine that is her superpower, that is her radiance, and that actually gives the sperm the signal of where to come, of the precision, biochemically, chemically, she's putting out a whole map of how to find her. And the sperm follow that, you know, up the canal to find her. And that's what sparks life, literally. So for a woman to get to know the true principles and energies of attraction in her being, and to really understand, not even understand, I mean, understanding, we want to live it, right? And that's the big thing too. It's like, okay, understand, but are you living it? Is it open in you? Do I see it in you walking across the room? Do I see evidence of it in your life? You know, are you the sperm hustling all the time and getting tired of it? Or have you really embodied, and are you living that feminine come to me? You know, and there's such depth and juiciness that gets in that. And then we go back into receptivity, where we put everything in the altar and we go away, as women used to do in our consciousness, from everything we've created before. And we go into complete emptiness, where we touch the very center heartbeat of ourselves and of life itself. And we dive deep into our essence center and deep into the magic realms. And this is where we get into realms that priestesses are getting to know again on this planet, that have not existed before. And so that in that cycle of life, we're creating from these realms that are enchanted, from these realms that are magic, that are off grid, and that are soul led, so that our life and our creations become a devotion to a soul led life. They become an expression of divine through us. They become something that we get to watch unfold, like a little apple seed turns into an apple tree. We get to watch this design that we're given, and each one of us gets our own specific little seed to live out. And we get to just do that, rather than like, what do I think I want to do with my life? What do I think matters? You know what I mean? That we're actually living from that energy. And when you're living from that energy, the universe, the synchronicity, and also the initiations that say, okay, if you're going to live this, and this is not congruent anymore. Can you alchemize that? Can you burn that down? Can you come into a bigger, bolder version? Like all the things that we get to face and live through in order to hold that torch of what we're being given to live into full fruition.
Wow. It's so beautiful. I just feel speechless every time you talk. I'm like, where am I supposed to go with this? It's so beautiful. There's something that I love that you speak about is initiations. What are initiations? What do you mean by initiations?
So initiations, and a lot of these words can get thrown around in pop culture, and the meaning of it can be, you know, different. I draw that word from priestess tradition, from in the priestess lineage, in coming forward as you know, priestess teachings. An initiation is something that, like, life is the initiation. We don't create our own initiations consciously. Initiations are when we are saying, I'm going to come live this. I'm grabbing this torch of this new intention, this new dream, this new knowing that I must live this. And we all have those where you're like, oh, this is what life's asking me to live. You know, oh shit. Uh-oh, what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? You know, and it's like, am I going to take that torch, is how I use it in the feminine blueprint, where it's like, that's the symbol, right? I use, because when you can relate to it, it becomes a mythic story rather than a conceptual, analytical thing. It's a mythic story we go on in this feminine blueprint. So it's, I grab the torch and I say, okay, you know, like, I'm going to live this. Like, I got this. I got the memo. Spirit told me, soul told me, I got the memo. I'm going to tell the sisters in the tribe here that I got it and what it is. And we're all going to witness in you. And now you begin stepping forward in life, holding that torch of that which you know you are here to live and birth and be. And you begin walking that walk in the world. And what life will bring you is an initiation, is an opportunity, if we choose to see it that way. Sometimes it will kick your butt, but most of the times it will. Most of the times it will shred your ego and make you really choose and decide who the F you are. You know, like, who the F are you? Who the F are you? And can you stand in it with your torch ablaze? Or do you shrink back? Do you sell out? Do you prostitute? Do you quiet your voice? Do you diminish? Do you put it back on the shelf for next time? Do you try to turn it into something that it wasn't really, but it's more safe? You know, all the things we'll do. And that's why that's why I hold, as a mentor with women, a fierce accountability. Like, I say, I will not stand with you in a lie. You know, like, I see your torch and I see what you're here to live. And I know that you are given the torch you are given because you are here to live it. And that means you are given everything you need. Everything you need, everything an apple needs to become, you know, an apple seed needs to become an apple tree is in that pattern. It's in that code. All it needs is water and soil and an environment and you know, all of that. So that's what this sisterhood that becomes, so that you can grow that, you know, and then just like, come, grow. So those initiations are what our life will initiate us into it. And it will bring you into a process of, who you be. What are you going to embody? And there'll be a moment or many moments where you can choose to either say the thing, do the thing, whatever it is that you know is going to lock you in, is going to embody you into this next level, into that congruence with that torch. Or you can kind of sort of, and so there's all those things that happen there. So the initiation itself is, and that's where I say, like, I share about what's happening in the world. People say, what's happening in the world right now? I said, this is a global initiation. We are in a global initiation. Like, we are meeting a crossroads like we have never seen before. So really asking ourselves individually and collectively, what's our torch? What torch are you holding? What torch are you holding? And that way, as you meet those initiations, what the embodiment is about for you. And that I truly believe on the other side of this collective initiation, we will see an entirely new society being born, and what energy that will be from hasn't yet been written. That's up to us right now, in this game at this time, and nothing's handed to us. And in initiation, what I know personally, and if we take the little fractal of my own life and say that we're in a global one of these, my own little fractal and individual initiations put everything up in my face. Like, I mean, you're faced with everything. And it's a feeling of like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this one. You know what I mean? Like, I might back down. I might just go under my blanket and put the head, hide. Like, and something has to come alive in you that says, and this is where that, the strength of the human spirit comes to life. And we begin tapping in and putting our roots down deeper in a creative force of Mother Nature and of our own spiritual essence that is divine as well as evolutionary, and say, we are going to create something that's never been seen before. We are going to, and that's individually what happens in every woman, is I'm going to grow neural pathways that my body has never known. I'm going to come up with ideas and ways and innovations. I'm going to take actions. Something comes in live in you in that moment of the initiation that says, will you live it? What you're going to live, who you be, what you're going to do. And I believe at this time, we're in this collective initiation, and life organizes. That's part of my training also. I realized, like, wow, I really got trained for this moment to learn how not only biological systems organize and reorganize and pattern, but how living systems of life organize and reorganize. And so we organize in a nonlinear system. It's not A plus B equals C. It's nonlinear, and it's interconnected, and it all moves together, which means you put in like an input over here, and it affects everything over here that you didn't even know it was tied to. You didn't even know that it was related. How is this related to that? I don't see, because it's nonlinear. And so what I see is that there are so many light workers on the planet right now, so many lineages of mythic soul, seed, star seed, what do you call them? So many people here. We're here. We know it. We're all here. And we're here in this nonlinear system to put in our own input into the system that has a nonlinear effect. So some people are saying, well, we need this big plan to all, it's like, well, if it was something mechanistic, if it was something linear, then yes. Right now, and some of that may be necessary. I don't know. Maybe that's somebody's nonlinear input. Great. But to recognize that we're in a nonlinear system. And the reason I want to share this is to not ever belittle your contribution, and to recognize that whatever you're being signaled to bring forward from, and that's where it comes from, if it's from that place where like, ooh, man, this is my torch. Ooh, man, this is my tap from spirit to say the thing, do the thing, whatever it is, to do it right now. This is not a time to hold back. This is not a time to play small. This is not a time to diminish yourself. This is not a time to put it on the shelf until you're perfect, or till the circumstances are creating a ruby red carpet for you to prance out on. This is a time to become a messy human, find your roots, find your power, and realize that we are all in this together. We are a non-linear living organism, and that each one of our inputs moves the whole. So do not underestimate the power of every contribution.
Wow. We asked in the comments, can you give an example of what torches we might be holding? Is that just, you're calling from spirit, like say the thing, do the thing, speak up? Is that what you mean by torches?
Let's see.
Or is it the light workers with their torches?
I mean, I feel like everyone has a torch. Everyone has a torch. And every cycle, this is why like every year cycle, we have a torch that's for that cycle. Every moon cycle, we have a torch that's for that. Every day we have, you know, there's different fractals in it. A torch is what is individual. And there's, now I'm saying there's the collective torch of what are we going to live? What are we going to stand for? What are we going to be? What matters to us? What's the tap of spirit we're saying that we're getting, that we're all somehow getting a similar message at the same time of what we need to make matter right now, you know, without even talking to each other. We kind of see and we know that each individual woman, each person at the time of her, like as she's, and this is where I say it usually comes around like in that bigger year process, it comes out of deep receptivity. So if you're not going into deep receptivity and really touching that vein of your being that's connected to divine currency in a way that's cleared out the noise and static, that you can actually get a clear message, you may not, the torch may be something that's like, yeah, that was kind of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity, you know? So it's about receptivity is the first thing on the feminine blueprint for a reason. It's that designed that way, that we go away, we clear the noise, you get fully open, you open your bandwidth, you become into that direct source. And then from there, it's a knowing, it's a message, it's a tap. So for, and usually it's not just one thing, it usually threads into many parts of life, but it'll have a theme. It'll have a theme. You know, for example, one woman, and it usually has to do with evolution or some place where you have a cap that is coming off. You know, for example, a woman may have that around her sexuality, you know, and you may look into her lineage of what happened with her mother, what happened with her grandmother, or how it's been held over time. And that she knows that this is her moment to really come into her own sexual energy, her own creative Shakti creatrix in her life. And so that may mean that she dismantles all these things that she was doing to prioritize and really live out these things that come to her, these ideas, these impulses to live something where it's like, oh, but could I really stop working and just grab my guitar and sing? Could I really wear that thing? Could I really do that thing? Could I really be that woman? And it's all these things that seem like, oh, could I? And, but to come into the embodiment where each choice, like, oh, do that. Oh, really? Really? Okay. Do that. Oh boy. You know, it's all these, it'll be all these like places in her life where she's hitting a choice point that's basically asking her to bring a particular frequency and energy to life and to honor it and make it sacred. And then to allow it to live through her fully in her own style, in her own way, to get her to know herself that way. When you see that, then you see like, whoa, on that channel is all this other stuff that wants to come to her that's again nonlinear, where someone would say, how is it possible if I make money, if I follow my knowing and that call it noema, which is another priestess term of living truth, to go into my creativity and to stop doing this over here that I don't really love, of being on a hamster wheel, and go wildly just into my creativity? How is that possibly going to make money? How's that possibly going to do that? I can't trust that. I can't trust the knowing. I can't trust that there's something on there that's really going to take care of me. And so it's a fundamental crossroads with life. Can you trust your guidance? Can you trust that seed, that apple seed, has the pattern for the whole tree? And we watch her walk that walk and say, oh my God, she's going into it. Holy shit. Whoa, wearing something new, saying something new, doing something like, whoa, who is this woman that's coming out? Like, wow, you know, we all get excited and see her. And then it's like, oh, and by the way, I met this new person and they opened me into this new world of financially, I can do these other things. And wow, all this other stuff's coming together in this way that I never thought possible. And now I have, like, wealth is being redefined in my life. And, you know, it happens in a way that you never know the how. And that's why it requires trust. It requires stepping out on trust, because life will demand trust of you, because trust is the currency of soul. And if you don't live on that currency and that channel, don't think you're going to get the messages of soul. Don't think that you're going to get the you know, abundance of soul. And so life wants to give you, and it's a lot of that stepping out. And it's beautiful. And that's where it gets fun, especially in the sisterhood and looking at the feminine blueprint, where we watch each other's lives, and a lot of the time our jaws are just dropped. We're like, that is how it all came about, like the how. And that's what usually stops most women is, well, I don't know the how. Of course you don't know the how. You're not meant to know the how. You'll never know the how. Stop with this little Rubik's Cube of trying to figure out the how and jump into life, get your hands dirty, be a messy human, and effing live, you know? Get some courage.
Mic drop. That's it right there. I think we can wrap up the whole summit now. Like that was like right there. You know, that is, and that somebody else in the chat asked that question. How do I figure it out? What do I do? Nothing's working. You're not in trust. Just like Nanilea said, trust is the currency of the soul. That is such a good reminder that we're not meant to know the how. Just live your life, be a messy human. I love that. Like that is so good. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Nanilea Diamond. This has been such a gift for all of us. I am so honored that you said yes to being here and setting the stage for this summit. I have so many chills, so much insight has been shared, just so much wisdom and beauty and love poured into this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So grateful. Just blow my mind. Like it blows my mind.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you, and I really just want to acknowledge you for putting this together and your creativity and honor, and just you know, creating a venue for all of this magic to be housed and brought forward. And I just feel like I see your gifts in that, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Nanilea is giving us a free gift, a daily full glory meditation. Clarissa, our speaker manager, is going to go ahead and put it in the chat there. So you all can pick up that free gift from Nanilea. And thank you so much. This has been amazing. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.